Yo guys, what is up? My name is Jeracraft and I have an incredible announcement to make, together with a pretty amazing story to tell. So as you know, I put a lot of hard work into the creation of the MMORPG survival world. The entire project took almost a year to develop, but the Nether has been locked ever since the official release. Now the community has been desperately waiting for me to create some sort of magical custom themed Nether, and that is perfectly understandable. However, just the thought of me spending another year on this monumental task is kind of daunting, not going to lie. But regardless, just as I was about to embark on this colossal task, I received some shocking news on the Discord server. Jeracraft, the Nether is almost complete, don't worry about it.
What the f?
I mean, obviously my initial reaction was no reaction at all. I mean, I just thought this was a random joke, but it's even crazier than you might think. In fact, some of the most talented builders and developers on the Discord server all came together to surprise me with an entirely new custom-built Nether, which is perfectly suited for the MMO. And I'm not talking about just some random Minecraft builds. I mean, these dedicated and passionate players have not only built a spectacular spawn, but they've even gone as far as to scatter dungeons, treasures, custom items, quests, all practically following the same concepts as the original overworld map. They have even gone a step further by introducing the very first custom-made 3D models, which you can find and loot around certain treasure locations. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. I have literally done absolutely nothing, and I now officially owe these amazing individuals 1 year of my entire life. I freaking love you. Now, before we experience this crazy adventure, we have to appreciate the sheer magnitude and hard work that's gone into building this spawn. I have just spent around 2 hours exploring, and honestly, it just never ends. Every step I take leads to some sort of new hidden passageway. And the really cool thing about this build is, unlike the overworld spawn, the Nether spawn is also actually a giant treasure hunting location, which means you can find and collect some of the many custom player heads, as well as find and loot some of the many new custom items and treasure hunter tokens. So just like the overworld map, these new treasure hunter tokens can help you keep track of all the main treasure hunting locations. The only difference is we're using fire charges instead of sunflowers, just to fit with the Nether's theme. And of course, the entire spawn also has a 5-hour loot timer, which means that every single item that gets looted will naturally regenerate every 5 hours, although in some cases it might spawn sooner or later depending on how rare the treasure actually is. But believe me when I say this spawn has a ton of treasures waiting to be found, and I don't want to ruin too much for you, but I mean, these guys have built everything from a tower climbing magical library to some huge elaborate dungeons and crypts, which apparently also houses the very nefarious Mumbo Jumbo. I'm sorry Mumbo, I swear I did not condone this, but according to the builders, this is where you spend most of your time.
I really like vaults.
And that is just another really cool feature about this project. I mean, they have placed NPCs literally everywhere, and they have written down entire backstories and quests. I mean, the amount of effort that's gone into this is just insane. The castle itself is actually owned by a family of vampires that have all descended into slight madness. Now again, I don't want to ruin too much of the storyline, so I'll just let you guys enjoy the adventure as you explore the rest of this magnificent spawn. So finally we can venture out into the open world, and you might notice things look a little different and probably a lot more chaotic than the original Nether, and that is because the developers have used a custom data pack called Incendium, which thankfully was one of my initial plans. You know, I have not played survival in years now, but I mean, this looks like an absolute nightmare to travel across, and that is because Incendium is actually intended to up the difficulty of the Nether. The world generation also comes with 8 new custom biomes, featuring some interesting landscapes like the Withered Forest, basically an eerie wasteland covered with petrified trees. We also have this toxic looking poisonous environment, which can also be used to farm some extra slime blocks. But aside from the custom biomes, Incendium also increases the height of the Nether to 192 blocks. So basically it's this much taller compared to default Minecraft, which I think makes the Nether look a lot better and will at least give you guys a bit more space to build and explore. Now, Incendium also features around 10 new randomly generated structures, including places like the Piglin villages to help you with all your trading needs, as well as other structures like abandoned towers and buildings. But there are also even larger structures to be found, like this massive sanctum. And I already know what some players are thinking. No, please do not start another cult. Seriously, we have like 100 cults on the server already. Is this legal? You can join my cult. Press subscribe. But one of my favorite randomly generated structures has to be the Forbidden Castles, some of which come with this massive piglin statue. I don't know, I just think this looks really cool. But the castle is quite elaborate and filled with treasures and rooms to explore. Of course, just like the overworld, you can also claim some of these buildings and use them as your very own nether base. Now, the builders have even transformed some of these structures into regenerating treasure hunting locations, but the majority of them are completely unprotected, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with them. Now, I really don't know what to say at this point, because the builders have clearly lost their minds and decided to scatter builds and treasures across the entire nether. My influence has clearly infected their minds, because they have seriously got carried away with this. I don't know what they're trying to achieve here, but I think they're trying to take my job. But honestly, they have done an amazing job with this project. There are literally treasures everywhere, almost as much as the overworld, and there are all kinds of elaborate challenges, dungeons, combined with quests, and even redstone traps you definitely need to watch out for. But I do have to be honest, because the builders really wanted some constructive criticism, and I just don't want to sound super ungrateful. I mean, these builders have done all this hard work for absolutely free, and I'm about to on everything they've done. Now, I already spoke to the builders privately, and they just really want me to be honest so that they can improve, and it better be a good rate or else. We are about to get roasted. Okay, so there are a few things I would probably fix. I mean, the nether can be extremely messy, so I can't blame them for that, but there are certain areas around the spawn that could use a bit of a cleanup. And I'm also not too sure if I like the giant skeletons. I don't know if it just might be the choice of blocks, or maybe it could just use a bit of extra work. There are also certain treasure locations that could use a bit of sprucing up, maybe just some extra detail. The cool thing though is that the builders also told me that they are more than happy with me transforming some of these builds, so I might just do that for some future videos. And then of course there's the Waffle House. I mean, the build is really good, okay, but I just don't think it fits with the adventure fantasy theme. Apparently though, it's just some kind of inside joke I don't get, so it is what it is. Aside from that, there really isn't much to complain about. I mean, there are just a lot of really good builds out there, all featuring some unique ideas and concepts. But one thing is for certain, I definitely have an incredible and very talented community, and I appreciate every single one of you. Just in case you missed out, you can now download some free content over on the official store, and as part of a June summer sale, you can also use this code to get 10% off any purchase. So I'll see you guys at the Waffle House.